Hello and welcome. You're listening to another episode of Talk It Out with Pascal, entitled Journey to Self-Love by Clark Morallo and Heidi Magalang. First of all, I think the pandemic caused a lot of people to lose their self and their hope in life. The pandemic didn't just affect us physically but also mentally and emotionally. Some reached the point where they couldn't see their value anymore and stopped loving themselves. Today's topic of conversation will be about that. Let's explore the true meaning of self-love.
Dictionaries define self-love as regard for one's own well-being and happiness. And I think, tama naman. That's right. For me, self-love is also about living the past and keeping up in the present. We cannot deny that in our life, we made a lot of regrets. And I think that if we cannot forgive ourselves for these mistakes, then we will be just stuck in the past. Forgiving ourselves for not being the person we wanted to be or being unable to do things that are out of our control is self-love.
Self-love also deepens our understanding about oneself. It's important you know how to love yourself because it helps us counter the negatives, puts things into perspective, and it also helps us navigate our path to life. Self-love is all about your journey in unlocking who you really are. Sabi nga ng friend kong si Madam Yana, you won't be able to love yourself if you don't know yourself in the first place. Paano ka magmamahal, di mo nga kilala yung mamahalin mo. When she said this to me, I realized that her statement is true.
Oo nga naman, kasi if you don't know yourself, how can you love yourself? That's like solving a math equation without understanding what kind of equation it is and not knowing the formula. Anyways, I think there are people who are still confused about what self-care really is. Most people think self-soothing is self-care, but for me, magkaibang bagay sila. I do believe that self-soothing is a part of self-care. I read an article once that defined self-soothing as something that gives us comfort and distracts us during difficult times. It can be shopping, binge watching, doing your skincare, or a bubble bath, which are things na I wouldn't say hindi nakakatulong. Of course, nakakatulong sila, but does not help us move forward sa situation or sa problem. Self-care is deeper and far more complex. It's something long-term. Self-care is about the things that you do that further betters your understanding about yourself. It is why they say that self-care and self-love are partners. They cannot be separated.
Oh, so what you mean is self-care or self-love is supposed to be for the long-term betterment of yourself. Hindi siya yung parang magre-relax ka lang, magpapamassage, and call that self-care or self-love.
Yes, as I said nga, self-care is far more complex than that. I'm so sorry for dumping this here, but I think many of our classmates will find this relatable. A year or more ago, I thought I was the most useless person in the world. Everything I do is useless and, just fails. My life has no purpose and I thought I was wasting my life for nothing. My confidence went downhill and I think it's really dramatic of me to say this, but it felt as if everything in the world was just against me. I thought it was much better if I'm dead or just not existing, so on and so forth. At that time, I thought I was alone. Hearing myself saying these things right now makes me I want to laugh actually because akala ko ganun na lang yung magiging buhay ko. Pero as time goes on, I realized that it does get better.
Actually, I am having this very same experience where I think that I don't deserve to be respected or valued. Sometimes I think about how the world or how all your life would have been better if I just didn't exist in the first place. Like, am I really that annoying to be hated on? In your statement, you said that it does get better. Do you mean that you're already past this? If so, how did you overcome this situation?
Yes, actually, although not fully, I am still in that healing stage. One of the ways I overcame this situation is by knowing the whole situation first. I asked myself, why do I think this way? Is this really who I am? After knowing the situation, I dug deeper. Why do I really think this way? And it just sort of came to me na I think this way because I'm pressuring myself too much. All of the standards and expectations from other people and myself included set unto me, and so I took a break. I disconnected myself from all of the expectations and negativity that is affecting me because it's really overwhelming to have the other people set standards for you na dapat ganito ka, ganyan ka. Besides that, I also got rid of the mentality that I'm worth nothing. No person is actually worth nothing. All people have the worth and all people deserves to be respected and valued. Your worth doesn't depend on your productivity. Sometimes it's just okay to exist. I always say to myself that I got this. I always do.
Thinking of this, I realized that self-care correlates to your mental health, specifically your emotional health. One has to know how to care and love themselves. Sometimes nakaka-overwhelm ang pagmamahal sa sarili because of all the mistakes we can make when it comes to self-love. But you have to understand that when it comes to this matter, progress is not linear. Just like life, self-love has its ups and downs. Sometimes you may think that you have reached a point where it is too late to even be valued anymore. Remember, it is never too late to love yourself. You deserve the world, not loneliness.
'Di ba? And if things doesn't turn out well the way you wanted to, you need to learn to accept that. You need to learn na ito na yung best ending mo.
It's sad that in reality, there are people that think they do not deserve any love. They tend to look for validation from other people. They do things that sometimes they don't really like or out of their comfort zone to have someone else's approval or love, which is a really destructive mindset because we are valuing other people's opinions more than our own, which in the end, we don't see our value anymore. I actually remember a quote from a movie I watched that relates to this. It's called The Perks of Being a Wallflower. The quote states that we accept the love we think we deserve. And I think that sometimes we settle for less because we think that we don't deserve that kind of love.
Sa observations ko, the environment where a person grew up with is a big factor in this. People who grew up in a strict environment where they mostly depend their decision to other people or are not given a chance to make their own decisions look for validation all the time. They never got a chance to learn from their own mistakes. And isa pa, there's also the fear of doing something wrong na makes you think na what if mali yung gawa ko? What if people hate me because of this simple mistake? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, the way to counter that, which I know that is really hard to do, but we need to learn how to trust ourselves. We also need to stop comparing ourselves because there is nobody who doesn't make mistakes. Dapat i-compare na lang natin yung sarili natin sa sarili natin. Let's not be too hard on ourselves. It's okay to be just us.
Oh wait, now I suddenly remembered the quote from Dr. Kemani. He said that whenever you are in doubt, just remember the golden rule, which is always think of your problem as something your friend has come up with. Now think about the advice you would have offered to your friend. Apply the same to yourself. He said that it will boost your confidence and will help you develop trust to yourself.
Paano pala kapag dahil sa self-love mo ay nakakasakit ka na ng tao? Like for example, since I disconnected myself from my family and peers, I accidentally hurt them in the process. How can you get rid or avoid the regrets?
B. We need to understand that we are going to cut off only the toxic people from our lives. It's important that we still have connections with others because it's not like we can solve all our problems by ourselves. That's why nga sinasabi nila na no man is an island, no one is self-sufficient, and everyone relies on others. Cutting off people from our life and emotionally distancing is different. Emotionally distancing is more on giving ourselves time and space. It's also taking some time to breathe, and to be honest, this allows us to make more rational decisions.
Someone asked me, how do I know when I need to cut someone out of my life?
Well, paano nga ba?
Have you ever had the experience that when you are with a person, all your energy seems to be drained? Like hanging out with them will leave you feeling emotionally sapped and physically exhausted.
Yeah, a lot of times. They never stop talking or continuously pushes you beyond your limit. You could try explaining what makes them so exhausting, but you'll probably run out of patience.
There are also those selfish people that only care about themselves. No matter what anyone else is going through, they still manage to make themselves the center of attention. They value their own best interests and only like it when they are the only ones benefiting. The ones that I hate the most are those people that don't want to be happy. Ginawa na nilang personality ang drama and negativity. No matter how many suggestions you make, they will find a way to insist that the problems in their life cannot be fixed. If they are committed to this way of thinking, there's little you can do to convince them otherwise. Your life won't also be fixed if you continue to surround yourself with people like this.
Let's always remember that pessimism is contagious. Nakakahawa po siya. About the guilt you felt when distancing yourself to others that we are talking about moments ago, If we are emotionally distancing ourselves to other people, make sure to tell them. Do not just ghost them. Nobody wants to be ghosted. A simple message saying, hey, di masyadong maayos yung mental health ko right now. I will take a break muna. I will talk to you if I'm feeling better na. Is okay. Just update them. Right people will understand us, especially in these situations.
This is why we should surround ourselves with people who help us to be better. Because one obstacle pa na I encountered during my journey to self-love is those people who invalidate feelings. They say a lot about how bata ka pa, mas marami ka pang problema sa susunod, masyado ka pang bata para mamroblema ng ganyan. Buti nga mga kabataan ngayon kami nga noong bata kami, ganun, ganyan.
'Di ba? Nakakainis lang sila. There are also situations where they say we are just being hormonal teenagers, nag-iinarte, OA, balat sibuyas, or masyado raw spoiled. They say our generation is too sensitive or much of a snowflake for feeling emotions. But do they think that being unable to get out of bed for days, starving yourself, and having suicidal thoughts are definitely normal?
I know, right? Also, the exaggerated masculine traits that many cultures have widely accepted or glorified, such as paglalaki ka, bawal iyakin, or dapat paglalaki ka, strong and brave, made my journey much harder if I'm going to be honest. Some people view emotion or vulnerability as unmanly. The phrases, kalalaki mong tao, napakaiyakin mo, laki-laki mong tao, tapos ganyan ka kumilos, or man up, are still being used in today's modern society. This makes people reluctant to ask for help, to isolation, aggression, risk-taking, problematic substance use, and suicide
That's
attempts.
really sad. I'm so sorry you experienced something like that. People, remember, when you are experiencing problems, please tell your family or friends so that we can help. Bottling your emotions up will just worsen it. Avoiding challenging emotions doesn't make them go away. I know it's hard to open up, but we cannot avoid our problems every time.
Do you have mistakes that you did or encountered during your self-love journey?
Yes, throughout my journey, I failed a lot of times. I failed to love myself and to be better.
Oh, that reminds me of something.
Hala, ano na naman yan?
Are you sure I can talk about it? Baka lumayo tayo sa topic.
Why are you asking questions like that pa? You know that I love chismes.
Well, for background, I once liked a person that doesn't value me. Pero the question is, how did I overcome that? How did I get past that person? Well, it's because of a certain someone that reminded me of my worth. Niremind niya sa akin na, you don't deserve this. Kaya ayun, I ignored him na lang. He's a stranger to me now. Dapat kasi, value yourself and walk away from those who don't value you. By the way, shoutout pala kay certain someone na itatago na lang natin sa pangalang termite.
Oy, sino yan? Just kidding. But how is that connected to the topic?
Well, when I tried to move on from this person, I failed a lot of times. When I say a lot, it's definitely a lot, like sobra. To the point that my friends are getting tired of hearing my rants and karupukan and kahibangan about him. Then, I asked someone, do you think hindi na ako makaka-move on sa kanya? Masustuck na ba ako ng ganito?
It's honestly scary how life can be so fast and life can also be slow by nature. Lalo na when a good thing is about to happen. Life is really a test that frequently tests the patience of a person. I see life as something similar, like when you ride a train. While you were sitting next to the window looking at everything that passes by, you feel as if the whole world is moving and you are stuck at the same place. But the truth is, you realize in the end that the rest of the world was still and you were the one who was moving, leaving behind everything at a whole new place. But I'm still curious on what's the answer of your friend.
My friend made me realize that if we input our progress into a line chart, lines are not always going to be up. It's like the saying na how life is like a wheel. Sometimes we are on top and sometimes we are not, sometimes we are at the bottom. A quote that I would like to associate with this is Winston Churchill's, success is going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm.
Progress doesn't have an expiration or due date. Maybe we cannot see our progress because our definition of progress is wrong. Maybe we are expecting perfection instead. Your expectations for your progress are so high that it defers you from even trying.
Yeah, let's not be too hard on ourselves. Oh, I say it's already time. Well, that concludes our episode of the Pascal podcast. Goodbye and see you probably never. Bye bye!